Hey, what is going on, guys? It's DK back at you with another video here to break down the 6-game NBA DFS slate on Thursday. If this is your first time watching, we'll cover content for NBA and NFL daily fantasy sports, as well as for player prop sites like PrizePicks, Underdog, and Parlay Play. Guys, you sponsor the video, that's going to be BetMGM. They're still running a great offer here where you bet $5, you get $150 instantly in bonus bets if you are, again, a new customer, first-time user. So make sure to take advantage of that. Link is down below. My best advice, as always, is get on many of these DFS/sportsbooks as possible. And then when you do want to place your bets, you can search for which one offers the best value. So take advantage of that offer. And yeah, if you do click the link and deposit, it does help support the channel. And as always, if you're looking for more content, you check out my Patreon linked down below. Okay, so let's recap tonight. So, well, first for prop stuff, man, I couldn't believe it. Got hooked once again. I've gotten hooked so many times here over the last week with player props. I had Herb Jones over 23.5 fantasy score, finished at what, 23.2. Missed a free throw at the end, and then had a rebound. They didn't call a rebound. It just, so frustrating, man. I was like inches away from a 25x full sweep the other day. Duncan hooked me by like 0.5 4 days ago. Porzingis hooked me by like 0.2. It's been brutal. Been a brutal luck recently for me for props. For DFS too, man, I thought I was the odds on favorite to win this tournament. And then the Clippers in the fourth quarter just lay an egg, man. Nothing from them in the fourth. Incredible stuff. Absolutely incredible. Question is, how did I know the Bulls game would go to double overtime? I think this is the first time in the history of me playing DFS, I've been playing for 10 plus years, that I've gotten players go to overtime. That's not an over-exaggeration. But yeah, so Drummond was someone I was not fading. I told people in the Patreon stream, if I was building 150 lineups, I would have 100% Andre Drummond. 20% faded in high stakes. Whew, he really punished them. And then I went to Io and DeRozan, and it was really just a minutes thing. I obviously didn't really like the matchup here against Cleveland, but once Caruso got ruled out, they didn't have a bench. Like, I don't even know who that guy was for the Bulls that actually played in overtime and played the most off the bench. Like, I never even heard. I thought it was a fake player. He played the most. Like, I don't even know how to pronounce his name. I don't even know what his name is. But he played the most off the bench. So that was my reasoning for going to DeRozan and Io. DeRozan 1%, 60 bomb. Io had a solid game too. Goodwin was someone I was keeping a close eye in the starting lineup for Memphis. I told people in the stream, if he starts, I want to play him. He started. He smashed. He also didn't shoot well. Another question I have is, how did the Malik Monk faders know? How did they know a game would be a random massive blowout to punish the Sharks that locked in Monk? He was on pace for a huge game, random massive blowout, and no minutes in the fourth. He barely played in the second half. Came in for a couple minutes, done. Woo! And like I said, I was set up great. Set up great going into the fourth quarter. I had Harden, I had Kawhi, I had Norman Powell. I think if I just get average outcomes, maybe slightly above average, I'm probably close to taking down. Clippers score like 10 points in the fourth. Massive choke. Incredible, and only 3x, but still a good night, but I'm tilted, man. It should have been a much, and I mean much better night. I was thinking at least 5-10x, but no, I get punished once again. All right, let's talk about the 6-team slate. So Milwaukee, Charlotte. Charlotte's, well, last time these two teams played, Milwaukee won by like 40. This game is being played in Charlotte, though. No Middleton. You got Giannis is probable. 11-3 for Giannis and 8.8K for Dame. I like both once again. It's a really good spot. Dame was on pace for a huge game last time out. Giannis was on pace for a solid game. If the game stays competitive, I think both those guys have a pretty high ceiling. Indifferent on Brook Lopez, as I usually am when this team is close to full health. Bobby Portis, I mentioned him last time out as, having some interest in him for tournaments, just because Portis is a good point per minute guy. The minutes have not been amazing on him, but if he ever finds his way into a few extra minutes, he can smash, and we saw him smash in limited minutes last time out. No real strong takes in this group of value like Beasley and Crowder and Connaughton. They're all playable, but you'll probably get some better value opening up with some of these other games. Now, for Charlotte, one thing to note is, again, they lost by like 40 plus, right? The starters still played until midway through the fourth, and Trey Mann actually closed. So that is a good thing, good sign for the Hornets is they will extend these guys even if the game blows out. So that is something to note for some of these main Hornets. If you think the game does stay competitive, I mean, Miles Bridges would have to be a big reason why. Like I said, he played 37 minutes still, and they lost by like 40. So definitely still some interesting Bridges for tournaments. Brandon Miller at 6'5". Production's come down on him, but the prices also come down. He has nice eligibility. Nick Richards is 5.5K. He was in foul trouble last game. We probably get high 20s minutes from him. I have some interest in him for tournaments. I think Trey Mann's an interesting GPP play. He still played 33 minutes last time out. He's playing the point guard position for this team with LaMelo Ball out. Cody Martin at 4.9. He's fine, I think, for those other guys I just mentioned. Grant Williams, 4.3K, has cooled down a bit after that hot start from going to Charlotte, but still playing high 20s minutes. Misic at 4.1, we probably see high teens, low 20s minutes from him. And then Seth Curry, 3.3K, probably rounds out the rotation. Maybe if you got 3 minutes for Davis Bertans. Curry is playable. I mean, he's 3.3, so he's been averaging close to 20 minutes a game. I do think this Hornets team is interesting for tournaments because of what I mentioned. They're running a relatively tight rotation, and even when they're getting destroyed, they're still playing their main guys, deep into the fourth quarter. All right, Utah and Orlando. This Utah team put me on full tilt mode last slate, man. It was just a smash spot there against the Hawks. They were all unowned. I went heavy on them, and they just couldn't hit the broadside of a barn. Just got severely punished for absolutely no reason to. If you went heavy on the Jazz, I feel for you because that was a shark move last slate, and we were severely punished. Walker Kessler is questionable. We've got to keep a close eye on that. If Kessler does not play, I think you do get a few extra minutes for guys like Markkanen and John Collins. And then they might dust off my boy, Yurt Goat 7, maybe play him a little bit as the backup 5. He's been firmly out of the rotation, but he's a good point per minute guy. I mean, they could go maybe to Lucas Mancic too. Yeah, as far as the main guys go, I mean, they're still running a tight rotation competitive games. It's just that this is not the best matchup against Orlando. The price has come down to Markkanen, though, 7.7. I think in a competitive game, you should see mid-30s minutes from him. Makes him interesting for tournaments for sure. Sexton, Clarkson, Keontae George. I think I was doing my prop thread, and I believe over the last 5 games, they're all averaging like 11 potential assists a game. So all these guards, I think, are solid plays. I mean, again, they're still playing big minutes, like 34 minutes last game for Keontae George, close to 30 minutes for Sexton. Clarkson played 27 minutes. Yeah, I think all these main guys for Utah are still viable for tournaments. Collins, he's going to look better if there's no Kessler. He really struggled last time out. And then value-wise, Taylor Hendricks, 4.4K. Should see mid-20s minutes. Not really the best point per minute guy, but still relatively cheap. Chris Dunn to round out the rotation, probably play high teens to low 20s minutes. Now for the Magic, Paolo and Jonathan Isaac both questionable. I think Paolo plays. He went their shoot-around in their most recent game, ended up not playing. This has been happening a ton recently. Like it happened with Fox. What has been going on over the last 2-3 days? Like Fox was a full participant in shoot-around and got ruled out. And I feel like this has been happening just like over the last 2-3 days. It's been really weird. But yeah, Paolo, I expect him to play. If he does play, I think Paolo and Franz be the main guys I'd look to. 8.4K for Paolo in a good spot. Franz, 7.6K. I mean, the center rotation, Carter Jr.'s minutes kind of all over the place. Some games you're seeing a little bit of Goga Batadze as like the third guy. Suggs, Cole Anthony, Fultz are playable if you want to try to mess with that. I mean, they're going to ride the hot hand. I don't have any confidence in the minutes for those guys. Isaac, if he does play, I think is an okay punt. Would probably see some of the neighborhood of like high teens, low 20s minutes, and he is a good point per minute player, but definitely capped in the minutes. Like you're not going to see more than like low 20s from him. Atlanta and Brooklyn. So for Atlanta, no Trae Young, obviously. Is he out for the season or is he out for a while? 4 weeks. Yeah, he's out for a while. DeJounte Murray, now this is close to correct price point, 9.4K. I still have interest in him. He gets a significant usage bump without Trae Young, assist bump as well, 11 assists back-to-back games without Trae. So I still like DeJounte Murray. He's not the same play he was when he was like sub 8K, but I think he's still a decent option. And then Jalen Johnson is actually second on the team in potential assists over the last couple games, 7 and 6 assists in those games, averaging about 50 fantasy points a game. I think he's interesting. I don't think he's going to be that popular either, but Donovan at 6'4" should continue to play mid-30s minutes in competitive games. He had a decent game last time out, and he should be the secondary kind of playmaker behind DeJounte. But like I said, Jalen Johnson still averaging a good amount of potential assists there. What else? Indifferent on Sadiq Bey and DeAndre Hunter. They're just like playable, right? Sadiq Bey should see low 30s minutes. DeAndre Hunter off the bench has been averaging high 20s minutes. Clint Capella did play 25 minutes in their most recent game, so I think he's close to that minutes restriction being lifted. And at 5.3K, that is a little bit interesting for Capella. The game also was a massive blowout, so maybe you could have played a little bit more. So I'm intrigued by Capella for sure at 5.3. Fernando's playing some back at 5, and then you're getting a little bit of center run for Jalen Johnson as well. For Brooklyn, I mean, this team's been awful recently. I feel like every single game they're just getting destroyed. No Cam Thomas. You get a usage bump for Mikal Bridges. 7K, the prices come down on him. In a competitive game, he still should see mid to high 30s minutes. So maybe a nice, try to buy low on Bridges. Good spot here. Prices down. So definitely like Mikal Bridges. Nick Claxton, you'd say the same thing. In a competitive game, you should see 30+ minutes. He's been struggling a bit, but again, the prices come down. I mean, everyone's basically been struggling on Brooklyn. The minutes are way down in Ben Simmons, too. That is a concern. I think with Cam Thomas out, you should get a little more on for Schroeder and Cam Johnson. Schroeder, 5.2K, probably sees mid to high 20s minutes. Cam Johnson did start last game, played 29 minutes. I think he's interesting, sub 5K. Don't really know if I like anything else. I mean, Lonnie Walker, I played him over Moses Moody. I would do it again in a heartbeat at the ownership. Lonnie was unowned. Moody was massive chalk. And Lonnie Walker shoots like 1 of 20 from the field, man. God. He still should see like high teens minutes. He's playable. I probably won't play him, and I'll go for like 30 fantasy points tomorrow. It'll just really, really tilt me. Last guy to mention is Dorian Finney-Smith. In a competitive game, you should see mid-20s minutes from him. Reasonable value play. All right, Golden State, New York. So Golden State, it was disgusting, the rotation they ran last game. 11 guys. It was a competitive game until the very, very end, and no one saw over 30 minutes. Really, really gross stuff. Steph, I mean, I don't think stands out. I mean, you could always click him in tournaments, but not the direction that I'm going to be going on this slate. Draymond, Kuminga, secondary plays. Clay's been coming out the bench. Feels priced about right. He's had a couple of good games of late. Chris Paul in his first game back played 22 minutes. Keep an eye on it. I expect his minutes to slowly tick up. Moody started last game. Expect him to start again. Probably play those low 20s minutes. Reasonable value play, but my guess is it'll be a little bit overowned. Gary Payton's 3.3. He played 18 minutes. It'll be interesting to see what the ownership gap is between Moody and Gary Payton. I expect Moody to be way more popular. If that's the case, I think Payton GB2 would be an interesting pivot there in tournaments. Now for the Knicks, can we talk about this? With Brunson and Hartenstein out last game, they ran a 7-man rotation. They ran a playoff rotation, 7 guys. Hartenstein is back, though. Brunson's questionable. The Brunson news is everything. If Brunson's out, would expect an 8-man rotation, right? DiVincenzo, Hart, Chua, Hartenstein, Bogdanovich, McBride, Burks, and Sims. So, yeah, Brunson news is huge. If Brunson is in, I mean, I think Brunson would be a good play at the top just because he's playing huge minutes right now. Everyone else kind of be secondary options. I would keep a close eye on Hartenstein. Minutes have slowly been ticking up on him. If he pushes for 30+ minutes, he could be a decent option, but there'd be no standouts for me if Brunson's in. If Brunson's out, that's where things change a ton. DiVincenzo and Hart get a usage bump. More run usage for guys like Burks, McBride, Bogdanovich. So, yeah, that news is everything, and this is a bit of an earlier game. We might not get it before lock, though, since it's 6:30 Central. Last couple games are Oklahoma City and San Antonio. Oklahoma City, once again, fully healthy. SGA, Chet, Jalen Williams, basically the only guys I have much interest in. It's a really good spot for all of them. The price is ticking up on SGA, but still a guy with a very high floor plus ceiling. He's like super consistent every single night. Chet Holmgren, 7.9K. Should see low 30s minutes. He's had some big games of late. You get Chet versus Wembanyama again, so that should be fun to watch. And then Jalen Williams is 7.2K. He's consistently playing mid-30s minutes, and he's played extremely well. So I have interest in all 3 of the main Oklahoma City guys. Not a ton else. I mean, Giddey's 5'4". The minutes are not great on him when this team's fully healthy, but probably low 20s. Lou Dort's minutes have bounced a little bit up and down. And then they're just playing so many guys. I just don't trust the bench rotation. Like with Joe, the minutes have ticked up a little bit on Gordon Hayward. He's 4K. He played 19 minutes last time out. I guess if you want to try to take a shot at him, I don't hate that. But yeah, I don't feel very comfortable with a lot of the bench guys there. For San Antonio, Wembanyama in the most recent game played 34 minutes. That is something to note. If Wembanyama is back to no longer on any sort of limit, we're getting like mid-30s minutes from him, then I'm totally fine paying this 10.1K price point for him. So definitely have interest in Wembanyama. Vassell, Sohan, Trey Jones, Keldon Johnson, all kind of secondary options for me. They're fine, but no standouts. They're reasonable plays. Collins, he'll back up Wembanyama. He'll just play whatever Wembanyama does not play. And then I don't really think I can contend these Spurs value. But yeah, again, no issue with these secondary plays like Vassell, Sohan, Johnson, and Trey Jones. All right, Houston and Phoenix, last game. No Tari Eason, still Alperen Şengün, 8.6. In a competitive game, you should see probably mid-30s minutes from him. Had a huge game last time out, even though they got destroyed by Oklahoma City. Jabari Smith has also played extremely well since returning from All-Star break, but the price is up on him. We'll love the price point there. Van Fleet's been really disappointing. The minutes are still there on him, but usage down, assist numbers down. I mean, the price is down too, but yeah, he's been disappointing. If you want to try to buy low, I don't think it's the worst idea. Jalen Green, minutes not been great. I mean, Amen Thompson is playing decent off the bench, but he hasn't been shooting over the last couple of games. He hasn't been shooting well, but he's still getting decent minutes. But again, the price point is still a little bit too high in my opinion. Dylan Brooks is 4.4. If he avoids foul trouble, you should see 30+ minutes from him, which with this price point and eligibility, I think makes him a viable option. Then for Phoenix, Gordon and Beal are both questionable. Nurkic is probable. Now, I mentioned in the Patreon stream last time against Lakers how I thought there's a decent chance Nurkic would see a significant minutes bump because he had to play against Anthony Davis. Played 37 minutes and had a 60 bomb against AD. 18, 22, and 7. Almost a triple-double from my boy Nurkic. You'd love to see it. Now, here's the thing. Most of the time, Nurkic is going to play mid to high 20s minutes. But if you told me he played some minutes the last game, then yeah, I would be all over it. KD, Booker, if Beal's in, they're the secondary plays. If Beal's out, then they are solid options. Booker gets that assist bump. Kevin Durant, gets a bit of an assist and usage bump as well. If Beal and Gordon are both out, then Grayson Allen and Royce O'Neal, these guys should play decent minutes. Royce O'Neal had a huge game last time out. And then one other thing to note, Bol. He has been firmly in the rotation, 27 and 24 minutes over the last couple of games. I think even if Gordon and Beal are both in, I still think you're going to see some minutes for Bol just for how well he's played. I don't think they'll see mid-20s minutes. But if, those guys are both out, I mean, I don't mind firing up some Bol just because we know Bol is a good point per minute player, and he's played well recently. So definitely had to mention him. All right, guys, so that's going to wrap it up for the video. As always, if you do enjoy, make sure to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Really appreciate the support, as always, and we'll see you in the next video.